but I know Courtney was like, if we could share it, she watches all the replays, as does Jen, because I didn't
Yeah, I
realize
watched it yesterday.
this.
I mean, not yesterday, the next day when you posted it, I watched it.
I don't think I ever realized Jen lives in Arizona, and I never really thought that when the time zone, it didn't dawn on me how they're no longer just 2 hours difference. It's now 3 hours
3 hours, yeah.
yeah, and I never really thought about that. So, before we dive into the exercise piece, any questions about anything from diet to self-care? Last time we dove into self-care. Any questions about anything that you may have seen in an ebook or that you tried and you were like, am I doing it right? Is this, or that you want to share? Any questions or anything?
I did every no-no possible today. I had Easter dinner with my brother, ham, scalloped potatoes, but the boxed ones. And then they had that green bean casserole. And
Ooh,
I ate it all
Oh,
and dessert. And
you
now I feel
know,
like crap.
well, I'm one of those people that unless, if there is somebody that has like a really, I learned something on Instagram one time in my life. There was a guy, right? Because there's everything you can imagine on Instagram, but he really opened my eyes. So as a health coach, sometimes you're like moderation is key.
hmm.
And you do preach that a lot because I do absolutely believe that what we tell people no, they're going to want more. So
Yeah.
so learning, but he made a really good point. This individual, he was like, ooh, 300 plus pounds at one time. And
Wow.
his message was, you can't tell somebody like him to eat in moderation because he has a food addiction. And
Mm.
so for somebody like himself, he was like, I have to be on top of just making sure I'd stay away from the sugar, the junk, and all that, right?
Yeah.
And that really opened my eyes. So from that point on, and I probably saw that about a year ago, less than a year ago, maybe, that now I now go, unless you are somebody who knows that you eat one and it's just going to go down the rabbit hole of wanting more and more and more and more. I am somebody who's like on certain holidays enjoy. I do jelly beans every year on Easter.
Oh my
Like
goodness.
it's like that childhood memory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I always wait till they go on sale. So
That's
I'm
funny.
but I always like every holiday there's going to be something that I'm going to dessert wise. It's mainly
Yeah.
like kind of thing. So there's no shame. There's no shame, no guilt because that's why we do all these other things we do really well a majority of the year
Yeah,
is
exactly.
because when it comes time for a holiday or a celebration of some sort and there's a
Make it cheap.
tradition. Yeah, well, yeah, and it's not even cheating, it's just like enjoy,
Yeah,
right? Enjoy
exactly.
because then the next day you're going to get back on track and you're going to do all these other things. It's what we do every day
Yep,
that's
exactly.
going to impact how we feel. And we may feel like horrible after we eat something initially. I did what I would call a no-no this past week. And it's not a no-no, but it's a no-no for me and my body, I feel. I bought Greek yogurt. Like
Oh, you don't eat that?
I used to, but dairy I have always noticed leaves me
Oh, yeah.
feeling puffy. It not if I eat it once in a blue moon, but I am the type of person, this is where I know myself and my own triggers. I am the type of person that when I buy something, I eat it every day.
Oh, yeah.
Yep,
So,
I'm the same way.
so it's like, so I ate Greek yogurt because I'm trying to increase my protein, as we keep talking about for various reasons. And I was like, I just want to see. I just want to try it out and see. And after the first day, it's like I felt great. And I actually almost started thinking that it was helping my digestion because I didn't bloat, so to speak, really badly. But then as I did it a couple days in a row, because I would do it at the end of the day, just to get that extra little more protein. As the days went on, I was feeling heavy and like it was just sitting And
Oh,
I
yeah.
could just feel just enough of my stomach was just enough off. Water weight, stomach feeling slightly off that I finished up the thing because I was like, food's expensive now.
I know,
And I was
seriously.
still just trying to test it out a little bit more and a little bit more.
Can
So
you
it's
eat
some
goat milk?
oat milk.
Goat.
Well,
Go, I was gonna say goat
Corey,
milk.
I was at Trader Joe's and I was hoping they had goat Greek yogurt. I want the Greek
Oh, yeah.
yogurt
Mhm.
because I want the extra protein. And I actually
Yeah,
like the creaminess of Greek yogurt, but they didn't, they only had regular
Yeah.
yeah.
goat.
They don't
And
get the Greek one that often.
yeah, that's
It's
why.
a
And
hit
so
and
that's,
miss.
so I didn't get it because I'm not needing it for dairy. Like it's, so I want the Greek for
Yeah.
protein, just to get a little extra dose of
Did you
protein.
talk to them and see if they could order it?
No,
Call
I
them
did.
and they just say, hey, are you guys gonna get the Greek yogurt goat milk one? And they'll order it for you.
Is that I did look yesterday just because I was like,
Yeah,
I
just
want another source.
ask them because they said that they could order it for you.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Because just like I'm preaching to you all, I'm trying really hard to eat more whole food based foods and less processed. So I'm trying to avoid doing like protein bars and all that mess and do more whole foods that have some protein, but
What do you think of
did not
homemade
work for me.
granola?
About
What do
what?
you, homemade granola? Is that
With
good?
like nuts and seeds and stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it
Okay.
depends again if you buy it and it's like a lot, like Trader Joe's has a
No, I would make
grainless.
it. I like making my own.
Yeah, I made my
So,
own from there's a Elizabeth Ryder. I'm pretty sure that's who I got it from. It was great. I made this was several years ago. Yeah, and you can make it your way and
yeah,
um
if it says like half a cup of maple syrup, I only put like maybe 1/4.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
it.
And
I
I
don't
would
put
just
that
say
much.
with like that, just keep it to one serving, a small handful a day. Because if we go too much with the nuts and seeds,
I'm so bad with that. Oh my
What does
gosh.
it,
that do?
it increases your omega sixes versus your omega threes. So like we want a 3-to-1, 4-to-1 is really ideal of omega 3 to omega 6 ratio. Your omega sixes are going to be like your nuts and your seed oils, but nuts and seeds in general. And so if we aren't doing any omega 3s, such as like the fatty fish, chia, there are plant-based forms, chia seeds, walnuts, flaxseed, but your body does not absorb those nearly as well. And so for people who are truly vegan, you can say, yes, there is omega 3s in these plant-based foods. So it's not to say don't use them. It's just not going to be as beneficial. But we want more omega 3s, but in general, people's omega 3, like I think I in a course that I was taking, it's like we're 16-to-1, 16
Wow.
omega 6s. So the more you eat of omega 6s, the more inflammation starts building up in your system.
I
So
eat a
Oh.
handful of nuts every morning.
one time a day is totally fine. It's good for
Oh,
your,
okay.
yeah, totally fine. What I was seeing like with clients a lot is that people were not doing like olive oil or avocado or anything. They were just like going nuts. But they were doing nuts and seeds all day long as their source of healthy fat.
Oh,
And over time, that is one can really pack on weight that we don't
yeah.
realize because you tend to eat more of that than you would olive oil, um, and whatnot. And then two, it goes back to we just want to make sure we keep that ratio of omega threes in balance. If you can do, which I cannot do, sardines. I've tried.
Oh,
Tried
no.
numerous.
My mom is trying
I
to get
can
me
do
to eat
it.
sardines. I'm like, nope,
You,
I can't.
if there was clinically, one of the instructors from a course of mine, he told me it's an easy lunch for people, especially who are on the go, because if you can do a pre-made salad, open a can, half a can of sardines 4 times a week, and her inflammation was cut 90%.
You gotta be
Wow.
kidding me.
Yeah.
How about
Um,
tuna? Tuna's not good. to
No,
have.
tuna's fine like occasionally, but it's sardines, wild cut salmon, and mackerel. So if you can't handle sardines, somebody told me that mackerel tastes more like tuna. And
Huh.
so this was a
That's hard to
client.
find, isn't it?
I don't think so. I think it
Canned?
comes in the
Are you talking about fresh?
can. I think I think you can do can with that. And this was a client who, she had high cholesterol for sure. And by the end of a 6-month program, she rechecked her levels and her cholesterol came down it was a good drop in
So
points.
avocado oil and olive oil are omega-3?
They offer some omega-3. Yeah.
Okay.
Avocado, I think, is a little bit better for
I
omega-3. But
so if you just eat an avocado a day, can you eat like at least two? Can I eat 2 avocados, or should it just be one whole
I would
avocado?
I would keep it down to just one. But again, it depends on your scenario. Because everyone's
It's
so
like
different.
avocado toast. I like having avocado toast in the morning, so I use a half of avocado,
Yeah.
and then at dinner time I may have the other half.
Yeah.
So
And that
that's
would be
good.
like one a day. That's
Yeah.
fine. Yeah.
Okay.
That's totally fine. But again, it will depend on the individual because if you carry the gene APOE allele 4, I think is what it is. And I don't know if I have that. I just know my cholesterol drives up pretty fast.
With
But
avocados?
with saturated fats and
Oh.
I have to be really, so somebody, if I had that gene, which there's a great chance I do, I just haven't had it tested, then I would fall into this category of people who can have to keep their healthy fats down to 10% a day.
Wow.
Whereas the average person who can handle fats and all that, and they aren't seeing abnormal cholesterol, when doing everything else in life right, you can be anywhere up to 35%, just say, daily of healthy fats in your diet. But that's where like somebody such as myself or anybody who has an allele, you might be down in the 10%, keeping things that low. So it's just hard, but there's always something driving. Cholesterol is good for the body. We need it.
Yeah.
It does so many good things, but there's a dysfunction if it's driving up abnormally, like some people. And that would be where it's hard for me to say like, yeah, everybody should eat that much. That's when I would say if somebody's showing like 300 to 400 on cholesterol on a lab reading, that's where it's like red flag that this person probably should stay away from coconut oil, even though research is saying and has shown, but coconut oil and just saturated fats, red meat and stuff like that. So,
Wow,
but
okay.
definitely keeping the omega-3s is going to be key. So if you can do it 2 to 3 times a week, fatty fish, you're going to do wonders it's going to really support triglycerides, just an inflammation in general.
Question, avocado oil. Avocado oil is good to cook with, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I really don't. Are you talking in comparison to like olive oil?
No, olive oil I know is like that's top notch.
Yeah.
But then they were saying coconut oil is really good for cooking, But so I can't remember about avocado though.
I would
Is
say
avocado one?
avocado and olive oil are pretty equal. The best two to cook with are ghee and
Yeah,
coconut
yeah,
oil because
yeah.
olive oil is actually better to use it as a dressing
Yeah.
because if it gets too hot, the
Too hot.
heat,
Yeah, exactly.
then it can become toxic. So it doesn't do as well with high heat. So it's actually, but if you're just sauteing, then don't overthink that. But
Okay. Yeah, pretty much I don't use I'll use a little coconut oil when I cook, fry, because the pan I have, my mom bought me a new pan and it doesn't even stick. But like olive oil for sauteing and stuff like that, sometimes I'll use olive oil.
Yeah, I mean, I don't overthink it, but I do know just if you can use it as a dressing, you get even more benefit from
Yeah,
olive
exactly. On
oil.
salads. Yeah, olive
Yeah.
oil and lemon for
Yep.
salads. That's what, and then vinegar
Yep.
I'll use.
Yep. Those are
So
all really good. But yeah, great
I just bought
questions.
this new peach mother vinegar flavor. I saw it at the Kroger's. I was like, what? Peach flavor? And it's
Ew.
mother vinegar with peach in it. Peach
So is
flavors.
it apple cider vinegar with peach
Yeah, it's
flavor?
apple cider with peach flavor.
Ah, and it's to be
Sweeten
used
it a
like,
little bit.
You can use it on salads. I put
ah,
some on my bread this morning. I made a sandwich for dinner, an avocado and eggplant and lettuce. I poured some on top of the bread. It was so tasty. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is actually good.
eggplant's really good for cholesterol.
Is it?
Yes.
But then why is it's on the nightshade? Eggplant's
Well,
on the nightshade. And that's
yeah.
quote
So,
unquote, it says inflammation.
well, that's if you have autoimmune based issues. So that could be inflammatory for anybody who has autoimmune, but
Yeah.
not for everybody. So
Yeah.
again, all of this is going to be,
Exactly. On the depending on
yeah,
the person. Yeah.
so
It
many
doesn't
things.
affect me. I bought this it's called it's like a spread. I bought it from Trader Joe's and I love it because in Romania, my parents are from Romania, so they make this eggplant stuff with red roasted red peppers.
Yes,
So
yeah.
it's cut together and it's like a dip. It's like a spread. And it's really good.
I have to,
So
I'll look for that. But yeah,
What's the
eggplant
name
is
of
really
it?
good.
well,
Does it have a name?
yeah, let me get it. I'll show it to you guys.
But in general, just getting those omega-3s. So if you can handle sardines, Nina, like all to
Yeah.
you. Great to add in 2 to 3 times a week. And
But
that's going to
the
give you
problem is I
protein.
usually eat it in a sandwich. Well, I
Well,
could
that's
use
great.
that.
I
Yeah.
mean, again, I feel like you're overall very healthy. Like you have a good probably overall wellness already
Okay.
that as long as your body's able to handle digestively speaking, doing certain sandwiches every once in a while and all is, it's not bad.
Yeah.
Oh, and you can't see it right. Hold on.
Oh,
It's eggplant, garlic,
okay.
red peppers.
Is that over in the same area as like cheeses and stuff?
No, that will be where they have like the spaghetti sauce and stuff like that.
Oh, okay. So it's
Yeah.
in the
Okay.
And
aisle.
then this is the peach
Oh,
flavor.
yeah.
Okay. That intrigues me. For
I got
sure.
it at Publix, not Kroger's. Publix, I bought this one.
Okay.
I feel like Publix has better food source over there, like healthier. Because I found a milk that only has almond milk. That's it. Nothing else.
Oh, it's probably Mulk.
Milk. Yes,
Yeah,
that's what it is.
that's a
I
good
love it.
brand. You
And
don't
then when I
have
make my
Publix, Nina.
espresso, it foams up really good. When I
Really?
make my latte, yeah,
I
it
bought
foams up.
some. That is a good nut milk. That's one that we were recommending in the practice that
Yeah, Mulk.
where we're trying to always MALK. Yep. It's one of the
Yeah.
cleaner ones.
I mean, I couldn't believe it. I was like, finally, I find because like the coconut milk that I bought, it's like a paragraph of ingredients. I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, this is not good.
Yeah, yeah.
Most of the
So-
almond milks have calcium additives.
And another good brand is expensive, so it depends on your budget.
Mulk.
3 trees. And
I don't think I've seen
I've only been able to find that at Whole Foods.
But
Truly
Moles,
Free.
it's only like $4. It's cheaper than all the other ones.
I think it was like $5.99 when I got it here. But yeah, so but you're only getting a small.
Actually, no, it's a half. Hold on, let me show you.
Fun.
Do you have any questions, though, Nina, about anything that
I can't really think of anything.
How do you feel
Still
you've been?
fighting the stress, the anxiety of political things,
So
So
have you,
It's
it,
32 ounces.
affirmations help.
oh, that's not the one I'm thinking of. That's
Arugula?
yeah,
Mula.
Mula. Okay, that's different. The one that I'm thinking of is MALK too.
Oh,
There's another, and that's a little bit smaller, but
yeah,
I'll
this
have to
one.
try that. I'll have to look for that.
I was like, I was amazed, and it tastes really good too.
Okay, I'll try that because I'm looking for something for my own coffee. Um,
It's good.
so as far as like your stress, Nina, have you been trying breath work at all?
Yeah, I've done some breath work, but I haven't done it like when my mind starts racing. That's when I need to do it,
Yeah.
to say enough and calm down and breathe and
It's that stop, pause, breathe. I've been giving this a lot to clients actually lately,
oh,
because a lot of my clients currently are in DC.
oh
Because I
God.
work part-time for a nurse practitioner in DC. So I'm seeing a lot
Okay.
of, yeah, oh yeah. And some of the people who have been laid off and everything in
Yeah.
between. And so a big piece is absolutely, so what I'm teaching a lot of is trying to stop the thoughts from going. So if you catch, so it's like first you want to catch yourself when you feel
Yeah.
like you're going down that rabbit hole. And then you want to pause, stop, pause, breathe. And then that's when you would potentially want to do rounds of breath work, the 4-7-8. And I highly encourage using an essential oil, um, putting it like,
Peppermint.
I love peppermint.
I use
Oh, I
that
love that
my
peppermint
sinuses.
too.
Yeah, but and so when you just kind of hold peppermint's pretty strong, so hold it further away. But that has shown that method 4-7-8 is used with the Navy SEALs.
Oh.
Because it can bring the nervous system down pretty quickly. So the more you start to, and Danielle's not on tonight, but we've chatted about it in previous sessions probably, but I remember telling her this because she was a client of mine for 6 months. And I remember saying, I just do it automatically now, like my body. I've practiced it so frequently enough for several years that now, even if I'm walking outside and I'm always stressed, I'm always figuring out the next step. There's
Right.
always something that I'm figuring. And so my mind can go into stress mode pretty quickly. But what I have found since I've been doing breath work regularly, I would say at least 5 mornings a week. There'll be give or take days where I'm like, I'm different schedule or something, but if there's one thing I'm pretty good about, it's getting in like that 6 rounds of doing that so that when I'm walking outside and I'm by myself and my head's spinning with like whatever's going on, I will catch myself taking this huge exhale, just out of the blue, not that I'm
Oh,
planning to do it. I almost think my body now has
Automatic.
learned, yeah,
is
that
what?
when it starts
Automatically.
to notice where I'm heading,
Yeah.
and I might, maybe for all I know, maybe I start holding my breath or tensing up, that now there'll just be this huge, and I do it when I run, like, and when I'm lifting weights and stuff, and it's not like I'm doing it all the time, but like I'll always go, oh my gosh, what if people hear me? I always think of the tennis player Monica Seles, who used to grunt when she would hit the ball.
Oh, yes.
I started thinking now, I wonder if that's like her version of stress release because it almost gives you this, especially when you're working out, it gives you this renewed sense of energy. But so that's my story about breath work is like sometimes I truly believe that if you do it consistently enough, it will become an automatic reaction so that when your body starts to sense stress is up, then you'll be able to bring it back down. And so if you can do that early, if you factor that in 3 times a day, just like sleep. So how our body gets into a sleep cycle. Then if you're doing it 3 times a day, your body is going to always eventually know a stress release is coming up.
Hmm.
And then you're going to be regulating your nervous system. So breath work would be the first step, but then also catching the catch, stop,
Yeah.
just catching when you get to that place and kind of start thinking about things. I'm trying to think. I had a session with somebody that turned into life coaching. This was last Thursday, and I was like, whoa, this was like a very
Intense.
I felt really tired towards the end because it was like trying to limiting beliefs and trying to
Oh.
change our script in our head to support our well-being. And so it's like when you catch yourself going into, and I only know because I'm always going into the negative. I go there fast and I can get into the lack of gratitude. But that's where it's like catching yourself and having an affirmation. So one that I used for a while, but that wouldn't apply to you, but something that where you're reminding yourself that you are safe. Because I think a lot of us in our world, in the world right now,
Yeah.
is feeling uncertainty and unsafe.
Yep, exactly.
And it could be about, I mean, even Corey and I have talked about other things in life that can make you feel unsafe and uncertain. And so it's almost like stopping. So when you do that, catch yourself, stop, pause, and breathe. And it's like reminding yourself that you're safe. And somebody introduced that to me years ago. He ended up being my business coach, probably 5 years after the fact. 3 years or so, I don't know, however many, but he told me because I had the cholesterol issue and cholesterol can rise up due to stress.
Oh, wow.
So he encouraged me to do meditation and to always remind myself towards the end that I was safe. Because of the same things. Like, I don't know if we feel safe. So that can be just a starting point to try to remind yourself. And especially like when I think about Colorado, is just kind of looking at the vastness of just what's out there, visually speaking, and just kind of when you find yourself getting there is to kind of look around and just think like either reminding yourself of the beauty and just finding gratitude in something, in that moment. And sometimes that can be hard.
Yeah.
It can be, and it can be a lot that where you are, Nina, with your own health journey in terms of controlling stress and stuff, that's the hardest part.
Yeah.
It really is because the eating part, it's just a matter of like, are you going, I mean, I know this sounds bad, but are you going to do it or you're not?
Yeah.
The information's there, and whatnot. The stress part is so much deeper inside of us, going back to how we coped,
Yeah.
and whatnot. And so, that would be my first step to encourage you is to, uh, recognize, catch yourself, stop, pause, breathe, and just incorporate some of the breath work 3 times a week.
3 times a day.
3 times a day. Yeah, sorry. 3 times a day. And then, for me, I think a big piece, reading things that there's like Gabrielle Bernstein is an author.
Okay.
I read 3 of her things and her books are all about control freaks like myself. For instance, when you try to control everything and learning to surrender and trusting that things are going to be okay. Her books are very geared towards that. And I like it because she has a good sense of humor, but she also talks about her struggles. She had struggles with addiction,
Oh, wow.
alcohol and drugs. But her third book, she didn't realize it. Her third book, so reading the first 2, she had no clue. By the third book that I read of hers, she had a couple more before the other ones, but The Universe Has Your Back would be the first one that I would encourage you to read of hers.
Okay.
But her third book is called Happy Days. And in that book, she had received extensive like therapy, and she didn't realize she had been abused as a
Oh, wow.
child. Yeah, and
Oh.
so she was going through it, and so her third book. At first, I didn't think I was going to be able to relate to it because at the beginning I was like, I don't know. And then once I continued to read, I was like, this is really really important. So a lot of it is like kind of, again, going deeper in, but I like her books because it teaches you how to just breathe and let go and control what you can control, but don't try to control everything. And because that's when a lot of people have chronic stress, is when
Mhm.
we try to be over controllers. But that's an area I love talking about.
And you can't
I
change too. You can't change other people.
I know. Tell me
I
about
really
it.
need to let go.
yeah, you can encourage, and that's where the work that, so to get back to even me talking about reading, that's where the work that you have to do on your own
Yeah.
comes into play, is like reading things, and so many of the books that I have, I've read 5 times. And
Oh,
they're all different every time. I might just get like the urge to switch and I'll be like, maybe I'll do this book again because I remember it made me feel better. And then I have a whole new perspective because I'm at a different place of life. And so you don't have to
True.
buy a huge army of books. It's like some good ones, and when you reread them, they still get you out. And so that's where I feel like the work happens, is
What's
just,
your favorite book that you've read
it's
so far?
hard. That's, like I said, it's a hard one for me because I would say Gabby Bernstein's were the first. So I bought a couple of hers in a row. Her books got me out of my control freak, and
Okay.
I have to make things work out. I have to fix my fix mode.
Yeah.
And then I was always stressed, and I was never like, and so I would say her books.
Okay.
But there's so many that I love. The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson.
Okay.
My business coach gave me that when I was working with him, because that's all about the compound effect
Okay.
and what we do each day. But if you're talking stress, I love Gabby Bernstein's,
Okay.
um, because she just helped me get out of my head and to release in a way
Got
that I
it.
had never done before. So I would recommend those to you, Nina, for sure.
okay.
But start with The Universe Has Your Back, because I love Jen Sincero's the You Are a Badass series.
I've seen that one.
I
Yeah.
love hers, but that's for a different, I wouldn't say that's for stress as much. And the uncertainty, I would say hers are still a great mindset, but that's more for going after your goals in
Okay.
life and not being afraid and doing the work and all that. And she even talks about meditation and all of this in there. But Gabby Bernstein's just kind of helped me. I would say hers are more healing, if that's the
Okay.
better phrase. Um, yeah, I would definitely. But great question, Nina. And I would just take each day with all of that. And a good little exercise that I had given somebody, and I have to remember how it phrases. There's questions that you ask. So okay, so I'm trying to think of a phrase that I say about the world this day and age. Um, like you'll find people of certain generations saying, I wish we could just go back. I actually say I wish we could go back to the 80s.
Yeah,
Um,
I agree with you.
whole different decade, whole different everything. But
I feel like
anyway,
the 80s were the best.
it's so hard to, but it was just like people had the ability to afford life back then. So when I'm saying right now, you can't afford to live, that's my phrase. It's like so hard. Everything's so expensive. Is okay. So I take that line and I go, is this 100% true? Is it true all the time? So there's like certain questions, that you stop yourself and you go, is this really 100% true for everything? Um, and I have to think of the other ones, but it's kind of like where you're diving in and you're questioning your own thoughts and theories, and to say, is it really true? Is it true for everybody? Is it a feeling that is it true just in this moment? That kind of thing. So it's kind of asking yourself to go in and say, is this the absolute truth? I guess is where I'm getting at. And if it's not the absolute truth, okay, I'll look at that exercise and I'll send it to you, Nina,
Okay.
because I'm getting squirrely with like explaining it, but that is one that I've given to people when early on when I'm trying to help them change their perception of whatever it is that they're going through, um, or is perceiving as the biggest stress in their life. So, but great, very good feedback. And I would just say keep doing the breath work. Then you can add in those little things like, everyone every once in a while a nice massage.
Yeah.
I have those every month,
I did. When I lived in Chicago, actually,
but
when
mine aren't comfort ones. They're for my body, for releasing. And
well, I would encourage maybe one, take it and just do it because that's when we can really help support our nervous system. Is and I used to, because again, you're very active and whatnot, knots and all that mess. I used to have to actually tell them, don't worry about fixing me. I need relaxation.
oh,
And so I would experiment. One
yeah.
where they can go in, and then maybe another one where it's just pure relaxation. Another thing, if you have the means, is acupuncture.
Yeah,
Ooh.
I have an acupuncturist that I've gone to for years. I haven't been since about a year because of my hip and stuff, but
I
he's
went to
really,
one,
really good.
yeah, I went to one for stress.
Oh, did you? How did
Yeah,
it go?
whether it was the placebo effect of talking to somebody and she was like a counselor.
Yeah.
This was a year where I had to take off Wednesdays from work because my nervous system was so messed up and I was having panic attacks, I was having anxiety. We were not rooming at that time. You had
Okay.
already moved back to California. And so she was I don't know how I found her, but I did. So every Wednesday, I think I went every week on Wednesday only for a month. She did, and she would look at my tongue, all of that, um, and tell me that I shouldn't be drinking cold smoothies. She told me because it was too much
Why?
for my nervous system. It's Ayurveda. So
Oh,
like there's like the different body types, Vata, Pitta, Kapha.
okay.
Um, and I was Vata, especially at that time in my life, thin, frail. And so you're more susceptible to like extreme temperatures, and smoothies make me freezing. They do. They make my whole body so cold. That's why I like my coffee after.
Yeah.
But anyway, I was going pretty regularly and I felt like it helped me for sure. She knew which parts of the meridian to put. I had them coming out of everywhere.
Oh my God.
Um, but it was very relaxing. And again, that's something I encouraged to so many clients recently who, for different various reasons, I
Wow.
cannot say how much I think acupuncture can be super helpful for whether it's injuries to nervous system, stress,
Wow.
anxiety. So even if you venture back to the acupuncturist,
Yeah.
it's just like explain for anxiety relief because they know how to. It's basically the way that she was doing it was improving my blood, nourishing my blood to support, because I think I was anemic at that time too and everything. Who knows? But I just know it was very relaxing and I enjoyed it and I looked forward to it. Um, but yeah, those are the little things. And there's some biohacking stuff I will tell you that I love. And it's for you to explore. Do you struggle with sleeping at night?
Not really, no.
Okay, that's good. There's a thing called the Pulsetto, Pulsetto. Um, and that's a little device that you place and it supports your vagus nerve. So it can support digestion, nervousness. So anybody who was having issues with just say bowels, constipation at any point, that could help, but it can really help stress. And that's a little biohacking device. There's so many little things like that out there, but and you use it for a certain it's not like it doesn't stay, you don't, I think it's like a 30 minute kind of thing session. And that can just stimulate to support your nervous system. in your stress response. So the Pulsetto, and then another little thing is a grounding mat.
I
So
heard
there's,
about that one.
yeah, so what I was gonna say, if people struggle with sleep, there's what's called grounding sheets, which I would love to get personally myself, but I just haven't bought one. I had clients who were at their wits' end. One lady came into her program and she couldn't sleep but 1 hour a night, maybe two, and this was going on for like months to a year. Long story short, she got the sheet. And the sheet didn't help her as much, but they have grounding shoes too. She went from sleeping 1 to 2 hours a night up to 6 to 7, which was like a phenomenal improvement. But that in addition was other things that we were doing to support that. But grounding mats, grounding sheet, anything grounding, earthing.com is a company for that. That somebody was like, don't, if you're gonna, she did a lot of research and she goes, this would be and she was a different client who was at her wit's end. And that was the only thing that really started helping her sleep and calm. So grounding mats,
What does the grounding sheets do though? I mean, what is it?
it's like grounding outside. So you plug these, whether it's the mat, whether it's the shoes, you plug this little device into the wall and it
Uh-huh.
creates stimulation that's going to calm, it's going to help reduce inflammation, calm, reduce cortisol, and just kind of bringing your nervous system into a parasympathetic, which is your rest and
Okay.
digest, and out of the fight or flight
Okay.
basically. So it's supposed to mimic like you're outside
Okay.
grounding in the grass. So, but some people it can help. And so for the grounding sheet, their spouse who just benefited as a result as well, their spouses were benefiting too. And one of their spouses was a golfer, and his back pain was starting to go away and he was doing better sleeping. So I haven't used any of
Wow.
this, but these are little biohacking things that if stress is to the point where like you want something that can help alleviate while you work on these lifestyle pieces. So eating frequently or eating consistently, balanced meals. So eating meals to balance your blood sugar is going to have tremendous impact on stress load on your system and feelings of anxiety, because if blood sugar drops too low, we get that feeling of anxiety. And it may not have anything to do with our emotions or mental. So we want to eat balanced meals 3 times a day, consistently at the same times as best as we can. We want to stay hydrated with electrolytes. If you know that you're under stress, you definitely want to stay hydrated with electrolytes. You want to do the breath work, consistently. Those would be the 3 things. Something consistently every day for stress response. Some people, it may not be breath work. It may be, I had somebody who loved swinging on she had this swing and I can't think of what it was called, but anyway, just out there 20 minutes swinging in the nature was her relief. Somebody else, it was sitting and watching a bonfire at night. She and her husband would burn their leaves in their yard. And for her, it was like watching the flame, or looking at holidays. It was like looking at the Christmas tree lights in the dark and just silence. So it doesn't have to be breath work, but finding something that you do consistently every day to support your nervous system. When you have those lifestyle things, the walk in nature, and we haven't even touched on exercise, but exercise, those are the lifestyle pieces, but then you can add in these little biohacking things. And I call those things are when you're desperate. And like you need immediate relief on some level. Those are when I would say, okay, you can research this, you can explore that as an idea, just to see if you get that immediate relief. And there's a lot of biohacking things, but the Pulsetto, I found some people had really good, that came out to be something really helpful for people, for anxiety and just that overall feeling. But does that help at all
Yeah,
in terms of just
get some good ideas.
things to relay, but it's all about the basics. So that's what this whole 30 days was about, the basics. You know, how we eat, how we move, um, how we take care of our nervous system. And I'm leaving, the first week was just about mindset, you know, commitment and keeping our thoughts um, as positive as possible. We're not looking for, you know, rainbows and butterflies every single day, but knowing how to catch ourselves. But in terms of exercise, I think a lot of it is very kind of, it's the obvious, but there's a couple things I wanted to bring up. There was something that I just read right before I came on that said this is why you want to keep your muscle mass, your lean muscle mass, and why a lot of women, once they get to perimenopause, menopause, postmenopause, you'll see like increases in blood sugar. And it's like, I don't understand. I'm eating the same way as I used to, and my blood sugar is now coming out high. When we lose muscle, the liver stores 100 grams of glucose. Up to
Oh,
100
wow.
grams. That's all it can store. It's up to 100 grams. Your muscles can store up to 500 to 600 grams. So the more lean muscle mass you have, the more you're going to stay like glucose, you're going to be able to balance, and you're going to remain insulin sensitive rather than insulin resistant. So that I was like, that's a really good statistic to tell people that you can store way more glucose in your muscles than you can your liver. And now that means you're going to be using it and it's not going to be in your bloodstream circulating around too high. It's going to go into the muscle and be used and stored versus raising your blood sugar. So another reason why strength training is going to be really important. And so that the little ebook, again, like I always say, take your time. There's some good information in there. One that even I forgot was, oh boy, muscle burns 50 calories
Oh,
per
yeah.
hour, and your fat only burns 4.
Wow.
So another reason why we want muscle, but the big piece of it is we want to remain functioning.
Yeah.
And it goes back to the more muscle we have, just the better metabolically speaking we're going to be. Blood sugar, blood pressure, blood cholesterol, and obesity is going to be under control more. But I'll do a little share real quick. And again, it's pretty basic. So let me get to here. But find what, so I wanted to, so when it comes to exercising, I wanted to just emphasize even more. Find what you enjoy. Oops. Can you guys see this?
Not yet.
It's black. Yeah, I can see it.
There we go.
Okay. It's just, this is very basic. So it's not anything fancy, scientific. It's just why exercise matters. And again, this is more about aging. Aging better is the big piece of why we want to maintain exercising. And just like we said with everything, we're all going to have different goals, and we're all going to have different ways we want to age. You know, some people, it's just like, I just want to stay mobile. I want to be able to play with my grandkids. I want to be able to go up the stairs. And then there's others who are like, but I want to be able to still do the same level of fitness activities I've done since I was in my 30s. So there's going to be different extremes of what people will say is their success in terms of fitness, I guess you can say, and why the ways they want to exercise, I guess, and their reasons. But ultimately, we want to maintain strength and flexibility because that's going to be how we can take care of ourselves well into our latter years. Supports our heart health and circulation. We know that when we get moving, we get the blood circulating. When we have healthier circulation, we transport nutrients more effectively to all organs of our body. So now we're going to have nutrients where they need to go more effectively. So we want to keep that circulation. This is one I don't think people really think about: posture. When we physically are working out, we want to make sure we're doing things correctly. So sometimes if someone's a newbie, I say get a trainer because
Yeah.
you can get hurt, you can get injured. But when you do the physical exercises and stuff like that, your posture is going to be better because your core muscles
Yeah.
are going. And this is why when we have such a standard way of living is like sedentary now, we're seeing, like myself included, I'm having to pay attention to this like a lot more. You start to get lax with your posture. And then that's when we start having back problems. But just to have the endurance, the sustainable energy for everyday living. There are absolutely emotional benefits. So it reduces tension, it helps with focus and mental clarity. Have any of you, this has always consistently been me. I can be in a really bad mood before I exercise and the world's coming to the end and I don't know what I'm doing with my life and all those negative thoughts. And then I will go run or do a workout or whatever, and I have a whole new outlook on life. Have you guys ever had kind of that same experience?
Isn't that what they call endorphins?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just kind of, it kicks in. So that's
Yeah.
why exercise is better, often can be better than antidepressants even. For certain cases, they might need those, but in general, that happens to me more times than I can say in terms of my outlook on life changes from dead and, doom and gloom to, okay, it's gonna be okay. And I get new ideas. It's like I get so much clarity when I'm working out in weird ways. So that I have experienced personally. Promoting a positive and balanced mood, all of that. I will say if you're feeling extremely run down, depleted, sick, right? Those kind of things, you don't want to push your body because there's two extreme. A good rule of thumb when it comes to exercise, you want to finish feeling energized. Rather, if you finish feeling exhausted, depleted, the rest of your day, it was too much for your nervous system and you need to back off. So it can be hard. Sometimes you want to stop when you reach your high. But we typically, when we get that, just say the runner's high and you're feeling really good, you're like, I can go longer. And you just kind of go longer. And then finally you just deplete too much. So a good rule of thumb is stopping when you get the high, so to speak, because that's when you're going to benefit from all of this, all the exercise versus push, push, push. And then you're just like exhausted. Now you're going into the negative parts of over exercising, which can be, a lot of us do. And then we end up burned out, all in all. So finish when you're on a high. Took a long time for me to understand that and to accept that, to be honest. But it really does do your body better. Different types of exercising. We do want the cardio, strength, and we want all three of these. Again, you're going to read everything online nowadays about don't ever do cardio, don't ever do this, don't ever do that. And I think, again, give it several years and they're going to be like, oh, that was not good. That was not right. You need cardio to keep your heart going and your heart healthy. Does it have to be like intense? No, but you need something that gets your heart rate up enough, about 30 minutes to where you can keep going for about 30 minutes. I mean, they say, and I'm not good at this, but they say you should be able to carry a conversation when exercising. And that's where you're doing that's where your sweet spot is, that you're challenging your heart enough, but you can still carry a conversation.
Huh.
I'm not good at that. Are any of you good at working out with people? And
I don't.
See, I haven't
do that.
worked
My
out
brother
with people
does that.
forever.
your
I work out
brother?
at home.
Yeah, he does the elliptical and he has this little gym group that he goes with every day.
Oh, I mean, I can't do it. Working out for me is my time to clear my head. But I
Yeah.
had I call him this little man. He is in phenomenal shape. He's little for a man. He's a marathon runner.
Oh, wow.
One time we would always chat. Well, he'd always catch me when I was on my walking days. Well, this was a running day. And he's like, hey, hey, and he was running with me now. And I'm like, oh gosh. I was so winded because he was trying to keep talking to me and I couldn't. And he goes, Amy, that's a sign you're going too fast for your fitness. Like, and I was like, okay.
Huh.
So
So
yeah,
he said he changed you a little bit.
yeah, yeah. Because I
He was
said,
That's funny.
just what you told us.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And so and so even right, like to this day, I wouldn't choose to run with somebody because I like to get into my own head. Like I said, when I was coaching gymnastics, I would often get people's floor beam routines choreographed in my head during my run.
Oh my
So
gosh.
I like to, or I would problem solve what was going on. So I don't
What's
like to
another
work
good
out.
cardio? Because I hate running. I won't
Um,
run.
so the
But
ebook.
I walk with my dog all the
Yeah,
time.
yeah. Well, that's not going to get your heart rate up probably. You can start with, again, there's so many little pieces of information, but if you did like 5 minutes of a brisk walk and come back down to 3 minutes of a calm walk, again, 5 minutes of a brisk walk, that has proven to shown, been shown to prove whatever the phrase, I'm not let me using my
So
verbiage.
walking fast is good.
It can, if you're getting your heart rate up and you're breaking a sweat. That's the key, is that you
See,
want
I
to break
never
it.
sweat. That's the thing. Even when I work out, I've never sweated.
Really? I was always,
Yeah, as a gymnast, never.
and I don't, that means you're not releasing those toxins. But you
Yeah,
would have
ever since
to,
I was little, as a gymnast in California, we didn't have air conditioning in our gym, and I never sweat like most
I
kids
know a
did.
lot of people like that.
yeah. And I'm trying to think if there's a reason, I don't know. I'd have to research that. But so if you look at the ebook, and I gave it to you in your text today.
Yeah, I got
Um,
it. Thank you.
There's
Thank
a
you so much.
whole list. I mean, it can be anything, you guys. I will be honest, hiking in Colorado was hard for me. So
Oh, hiking is hard.
that was
The
so much harder
altitude.
for me. Yeah, the altitude, but I even think the activity of it. So when I started doing incline walking on a treadmill recently, that was harder for me than running. There's
Oh, wow.
something just like my husband can do cycling, and he could cycle in Colorado up these steep.
Oh, wow, that's
Yeah, he could
brutal.
do brutal. There's no way. Like that would
Wow.
burn my legs out in a heartbeat to where I
Yeah.
struggled. So it's, to be honest, it's like finding what you enjoy. So it was a good question, Corey. You have to find what you enjoy. Like your personality, I would see you doing like a class, like a dance class or something that's like
See, in
fun.
California, loved going line dancing.
That, I mean, that, and so you
That
sweat.
brought my heart rate up.
Yeah. So
I was
it's,
always sore doing line dancing.
yeah. So it's finding something, and like Nina plays racquetball, so that's going to get her heart rate going up. So it doesn't, some people like to play a sport, other people like to do solo stuff. It just depends on your personality. But at the end of the day, you want to find something that gets your heart rate up 3 times a week,
Okay.
or like that minimum 30 minutes. That's going to be general wellness. 3 times a week gets your heart rate up on some level. If people are looking for body transformation, it's going to have to start somewhere. So if someone's never working out, we have to start at 1 day
Yeah.
and getting that 1 day under control. Then we have to increase it to 2. Then we try to get it to 3, stay 3 consistently for a certain number of months. But body transformation, you're looking into like 4 to 5 days, depending on your goal. So that's where this is just general. Strength exercises, you have to have it for the muscle. We
Yeah.
lose so much muscle quicker. But don't forget, there's body weight exercises, there's bands that you can use. I
I
love
love
resistant
bands.
bands. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm all about bands.
bands, free weights, and machines. But always make sure you're doing it with form, because the easiest way to get injured is by not knowing how to place your core most of the time. I'll be honest,
Yep.
I'll watch a lot of people and it's like arching the lower back, sagging, just not good posture. And it's like, this is going to really mess up a lot of other areas. So My thing is, if you need some guidance, get some guidance if possible. Flexibility and balance, that's a whole different ballgame that we typically forget. But balance, balance, balance. I used to feel like I had great balance and I could do yoga and I could be like on top of it. Recently, I have noticed like my balance is changing. Um, and so that is really, really important. Even using like little Bosi balls.
I was gonna say I want to get those like half balls that you put on the
Yeah,
floor and
yeah.
start doing because yeah, I'm like, thank goodness my balance is still good because like literally when I'm in the shower and I want to shake my legs, I'll just lift one leg up and I'm still okay on
Yeah,
that one leg balance. I was
yeah.
like, man, thank goodness I was a gymnast.
But there's still things like even just testing yourself with like closing your eyes.
That's difficult.
Yeah, and those kind of things, just even standing there, closing your eyes and noticing. But a lot of single leg things so that you can start supporting balance. I'm trying to think of what I used to do even with an in-home
How
client.
about
I
like
don't,
sitting down on the ground and having one leg in front and trying to stand up and trying to sit
I
down?
mean, trying to sit down, yeah.
Yeah,
That's going to be obviously an advanced.
yeah.
But when we're talking about maintaining balance into our later
Core.
years, um, I mean, you'll start to realize like it's so important to train that.
Yeah.
And even just standing on one leg with your foot slightly off the ground. How long can you do that? If you start at 10 seconds, and then even when you're doing that, connecting the mind to the foot, feeling like how often is your foot shaking? Is it going side to side? Can you now center it and stop it? These things are like just very important for falls, so that
Somebody
we're,
told me, my guy that did my hips said that to improve balance, you walk backwards on a treadmill too. That's another.
yeah,
That's another,
yeah,
yeah, I heard about that too.
yeah, because you're using a different, anything that you have to challenge your core, to be honest. Your core is so, 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 so important because it's connecting your upper and lower body. And so if that's not strong, there's going to be a lot more going on. So things like yoga, Tai Chi, bar classes. Um, I had a client recently who loved Qigong.
What is that?
It's it helps reduce stress, but it's very similar to Tai Chi from what
Okay.
I've gathered. And she is a she reminds me of you, Nina. She was very active her whole life. I think she was in her 70 something. Um,
Oh,
and so she introduced Qigong because she was having a lot of stress. She was like a nurse for 30 years. Sleep cycle was totally off. But she was doing great with all these other areas, but she needed to zero in on stress. So she found Qigong. She couldn't tell me enough about it at one so
Wow.
so I threw that in as something to explore. But I had to do Tai Chi in massage therapy school. I thought it was the most ridiculous thing back in the day. Now I think I would appreciate it. I was younger at that time. I don't think it was so slow and methodical,
yeah.
but
I agree with
now,
you.
but now I feel like it probably would be what I would see it differently because it can be very helpful for your nervous system. Um, but those are so so if you're looking, you want 3 days, 2 to 3 days of strength training. So just think 3, and you need at least one day of like a stretching day, a balance. If you want to combine, if you're able to do a workout that combines, that's even better. But you want a combination you need to factor these in. But again, flexibility, balance, flexibility. I mean, if you're stretching before and after, especially after, you're going to get your flexibility taken care of 5 minutes after. Have a stretch routine. I think the balance piece is what we tend to overlook, myself
Yeah.
included. Um, and just understanding, like, honestly, the daily movement. So you can do these exercises, but then if you're sedentary the rest of the day, you're going to see a decline in health. I am trying to figure this piece out myself. Um, but taking short walks, using stairs instead of the elevator, parking your car further away, stretching in the morning or before bed, but aiming for that 7,000 to 10,000 steps a day has been shown to be like that area where you're going to be doing your body best. Just move. You know, the more you sit down, the less you're going to feel healthy and motivated. It's going to affect you mentally the more you sit down. As we were talking about earlier, that like sedentary work has really changed me, like my mind. It's been hard for me. So small steps, big impact. So as I put here, start where you are. You know, some people, I have seen this when I was working at part-time at a fitness studio for women. It was a really good workout. It was called, I don't know if they have one in Colorado Springs, but 30-minute hit. It was a kickboxing, boxing, self-defense
Oh.
circuit. Anybody any age could do it because you could make it your own, so to speak. But I would see these women, typically in their 40s, coming in and they were going all at it. 3, 4, 5 days a week.
Oh
And this
my
was a pretty
gosh.
intense workout. It was shorter. I loved it because it was short, compact, and it got you results. But they would be burned out within a month and they wouldn't want to do it anymore. And then they would be complaining that they weren't losing weight because their body was in way too overdrive. And so then you would see them kind of fall off the wagon pretty soon. That's when they didn't start where they were. And I used to always, so you learn, you live, you learn. And I used to then encourage new people. I would say, I would not come. I would space this out. I would do it just 2 days a week and space it out because otherwise you're going to come in, you're going to be all gung ho, you're going to go, 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 then you're going to be done with it after like a month. So start where you are, setting personal goals that fit your own routine, and 5 to 10 minutes of light movement each day. I mean, I will say this, 10, what is it? 10 minutes of walking equals about 1,000 steps. So if you're trying to figure out how to get to even 7,000, figure out where you are, but 10 minutes equals about 1,000 steps. And depending on where you are, just add in 10 minutes here and there, wherever you can. If you do a longer, then it adds up quicker, but just keep moving. I think the movement part keeps the mind and everything stimulated.
Yeah, usually when I walk bare, I look at my phone, because it has that step thing on my phone. Literally, if I think I walk bare like good 45 minutes around our whole
Probably
neighborhood.
close to 5,000 steps.
Yeah, I was like close
Yeah.
to three something. I was like, oh my gosh. I'm like, because I read up for the dogs, they need at least 3,000 steps every day.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So when I do the whole neighborhood, oh my gosh, it's like 3,000 steps. When we were in COVID session, oh my gosh, I had over like 18,000 because I would take Bear out on walks all the time because
Yeah,
I got
that's
so
kind of what.
bored being home all the time.
That's why I'm always out walking because
I was
I'm
like,
stuck inside and it's starting to drive me nuts.
I know I got cabin fever all the time. Both Bear and I. I'm like, okay, Bear. So we'd wake up at 6 in the morning. I'll throw on a pair of leggings and a sweater, and we'll go walking. 8 o'clock comes around, we go for another walk. I
Yeah,
mean, if it was during winter, wait, it was in March. So yeah. So I
yeah,
went like 3 times in the morning and then three like towards the evening time because it was cooler.
yep,
But oh my gosh, I couldn't believe how many steps we were able to
yeah,
do.
yeah.
It
And
was
that's when the
insane.
health is going to be really good. So how to make exercise enjoyable, so that you don't skip it. Find what you like. You know, find what makes you. I will say this, you want to find what challenges you at the same time, but what you can literally see yourself doing for many, many years. When that you want something that you can see yourself doing for many years, then you can throw in these, like when I was doing 30-minute hit, the kickboxing, boxing little circuit. I found I liked that 6 months. I did it a couple days a week, 6 months, but I had my other workout routine. You can throw those kind of things in just to switch things up and challenge yourself, but find something or a couple different things. Some people like a ton of variety. Some people like the same thing. Depends on your personality. Um, but find something that you can see yourself doing. And staying consistent, because consistency is key with everything, as we all know that. My motto that I would encourage you to apply is some is better than none. So if you tend to be a regimen personality and you're very hard on yourself and you're very disciplined, adopting that some is better than none on days when, like, I'll give you an example. When I run, there are days where I might get into a run and I'm not feeling it. My legs are not in the rhythm. And some days I can just tell that's a day when I'm like, I just stop. There's a difference in when my body can go and I'm bored and I'm thinking, oh gosh, I have this much more to go because I'm not really in my head.
Zone.
That's different than when there's days when I just know I can't put it into words, but my body's like done. And I walk now. And I would have beat myself up about that back in the day, but now I say some is better than none. And movement in general is better than nothing.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much, I mean, Danielle's not here today, but I put this in here because I told her back at one point, sometimes you gotta just lace up and go. I don't know what else to say. So I threw that in for right now. But yeah, that's just pretty much about exercise, the obvious, but just try to get body moving. But that's the whole program. It's like I said, it's more generalized. It's more, what can you do for the rest of your life? And that's how I want you to use those ebooks. Some good information in there that's just going to be the basics that are going to continue to allow you to keep moving forward. But always reach out with any questions you may have. Ask, in terms of stress, I'll send you, I need to write that. Send Nina. I'll give you that little activity.
Yeah.
Just to think about. It's just things to think about. It's not really a sheet
Yeah.
or anything. But
Mind
yeah.
control.
Yeah. Because like I said, I'm encountering a lot of people that are there in the middle
Yeah.
of a lot of stuff going on. It opened my eyes. Like, I feel so far removed being in Florida. Florida's a whole different world in general.
It's real conservative there, isn't it?
Yes, but people just,
They don't
it's,
get in your face.
well, I think I'm so remote. Like, I'm working remote. I'm so like
Oh.
not in life necessarily.
Yeah.
People just do their own, I mean, it's weird. It's like they're conservative. Yes, because when I go past the country club, I run past this country club, and during voting and everything you would see. So definitely way more than Colorado for sure. But they just kind of do their own thing, I guess you could say. Like, I don't know how to put it into words. We laugh about it. It's like, it's just different. Florida, people just keep living. But I will say, working with people in DC, it's made me aware of just the amount of stress. And I
Mhm.
mean, there's been so many that were laid off and I
Wow.
say so many. I've only worked with so many people, but I've been in contact with enough who were laid off with the government
Wow.
layoffs, that you can feel it. So previously I was working remote part-time for a practice in Oklahoma. Oh, whole different energy, whole different versus
Yeah.
here you can feel, you can see the stress in
Wow.
people. So like I said, I spent really more time diving into event mindset, and how to change perceptions because of just the energy that they're surrounded by right now.
Yeah.
And how can we bounce that off of us so that it doesn't get the best of us,
Yeah.
in our health? Because I am seeing, I don't do the lab work. That's where the practitioner, like the nurse practitioner and whatnot, but I see it because I'm having to see them and carry them through a lifestyle change, right? And there's a lot of lab work that's coming through high levels of stress. You just think markers that are due to stress. So the more we can educate people and help people and all that, we're going to help people improve their health and feel better. So, well, anyways, I will let you guys go. I appreciate you coming on. My next essential oil class will be a month from now. So
Okay.
you won't have to worry about a Sunday night. Sunday night class. I
So
hope
in
you
June? It'll be
May.
in June?
May. Yeah.
Okay.
Third week of
Okay.
May. So
Okay.
it'll be over metabolic health. So
Nice.
I'll dive into that a little bit, but it'll be more essential oil based again, versus health coaching. But any questions that you guys had about anything in the ebooks or anything, don't hesitate to reach out and ask any questions. But until next time, then have a good rest of your evening, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks,
Good
Amy.
night.
Okay, bye
All
guys.
right. See ya.
See ya.
Bye.
I have to stop the I don't know where to stop it. The recording. Here we go.
Oh my goodness.